Before you listen, if you enjoy the stories and want to hear more, then please consider subscribing. Most of you listening aren't subscribed, so please take this time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you'll never miss a story and be the first to hear. You'll also be supporting me. Thank you. Sinking onto my bed after a brutal week of finals, I decided a little mindless phone scrolling would help me unwind. I'd recently downloaded Snapchat at the insistence of my friends and was just starting to get the hang of it. I snapped pics of my messy ponytail, my comfy PDs with the holes, the untouched mound of textbooks atop my bedspread, random little moments like everyone does. My besties immediately replied with funny reaction selfies making me laugh for the first time all week. I began learning the accidental lingo like streaks and emoji-filled inside jokes. I even started following a couple celebs and campus-famous classmates just for entertainment. Some random guys added me too, including one vaguely familiar face, maybe from chem class. I couldn't fully place him, but his Bitmoji looked friendly enough in those trademark snazzy sunglasses. So I added him back, continuing to curate my new Snap persona to showcase the fun-loving side of me my stress brain often forgets. Late that Saturday night, though, an ominous notification popped up. New Snap from that not quite familiar guy. Tipsy from a few glasses of wine, I opened it without thought. But it didn't contain a harmless selfie or dry wit. Instead, I stared confused at a totally black image captioned cryptically I saw. Puzzled, I messaged him saw what lol, assuming the visual glitch was accidental or the rando ramblings of a drunk classmate. My blood ran cold when a new Snap filled my screen moments later, showing a slightly grainy photo of me. It had clearly been taken covertly as I walked across campus earlier that afternoon. I was even wearing the same purple striped sweater and black leggings from today. Alarm bells sounding in my head, I replied more firmly this time, "Why you had a secret picture of me? Please explain." No response for nearly 20 minutes as I paced my room anxiously. Just when I had nearly convinced myself the whole thing was just some immature prank, 3 new Snaps appeared in rapid succession. The first, another inherently harmless image, a blurry bouquet of flowers from some store. Cryptic and odd, but nothing alarming. But the second photo made my heart nearly stop, because it showed me again, this time sleeping soundly in the campus library last week, head resting on my folded arms. The third Snap struck utter terror deep into my core. A chilling photo of me undressing in my dorm room, taken from directly outside my second-story window only hours earlier. Trembling uncontrollably now, I replied, "Who is this? Why are you taking secret photos of me? Please leave me alone." I reported the account immediately. I barely slept at all that night, tossing and turning as nightmare scenarios play out in my mind. Who was this creep lurking unseen in my everyday life, snapping photos without my knowledge? And what did he truly want from me? My friends tried to logicalize that it must just be some immature jokester trying to scare me when I told them about it the next morning. But their reassurances rang hollow. His access to me felt all too real and incredibly unsettling. Over the next few days, I jumped at every unexpected sound and constantly peered over my shoulder. My imagination ran wild, envisioning him hiding unseen at a campus bush or down a grocery store aisle, following my every move in preparation for who knows what inexplicable endgame. Just when I finally started to breathe normally again, a new notification bubble popped up on my phone mid-lecture. With a pit in my stomach, I clicked it open to reveal 3 new Blackmail-type messages from that eerie account. "I have more for you. If you don't wire me $5,000, I send them to everyone." Terror rising like bile, I tried pleading with him while keeping up a strong front. "I don't actually have that kind of money. Can we please talk reasonably about this?" But he persisted with vague threats for days, demanding money in exchange for keeping dozens more covert photographs away from my family, peers, and even prospective employers. Utterly desperate and confused, I agreed to meet at a public campus location to hand over the hefty sum stolen from my meager savings. But the police intercepted instead, having traced the account and patterns. Caught off guard as officers surrounded him emerging from the shadows, his face finally registered with sudden clarity. Just a distinctly average-looking townie who had fixated on me for unknown reasons. The true banality behind such unhinged cruelty shocked me most of all. With heightened security measures now enacted across campus and a restraining order firmly in place, I breathed easier knowing that ominous presence no longer loomed over my unsuspecting shoulder. I hugged my friends close in gratitude for their stalwart support during the entire traumatic ordeal. Still, for months I suffered vivid nightmares of those cold, calculated photos capturing my unguarded moments like lifeless prey snagged in the jaws of a relentless predator. I soon deleted my Snapchat account entirely, visions of those cryptic black images I opened so unknowingly still haunting me. My understanding of privacy violations became painfully and permanently crystallized from that harrowing experience. But with counseling, renewed caution, and plenty of inner resilience, I eventually reclaimed my right to walk freely under sunny skies again rather than live perpetually hunted in the shadows. The random cruelty of strangers thankfully failed to harden my heart entirely, though their darkness left permanent scars. Moving forward, wiser with inner light as my guide, I refused to dwell alarmed behind barricaded doors, and instead embrace life's beauty shining as ever outside my window if I but opened my eyes to see. On a whim one boring Saturday night, I finally caved to peer pressure and downloaded Snapchat. Several friends had been begging me for weeks to join so I could view their shenanigan-filled stories. As someone who barely understood Instagram, the app's intimidating interface left me baffled at first, but I eventually sorted out how to snap silly selfies and customized bitmojis. After adding a few close friends, I began cautiously posting mundane moments from my weekday grind to test the waters. My clunky price in the office parking garage, bored doodles from a teased staff meeting, the sad desk salad I ate for lunch. I had to admit the cute filters transforming my face into a flower crown-wearing puppy made me laugh. Maybe this Snapchat thing could be harmless fun and bonding after all. Soon, though, notifications began rolling and showing I was being added to more acquaintance stories. Classmates from college, old coworkers, a chatty barista from my regular coffee shop. I vaguely recalled friending them back in the first Snapchat flush of overexcitement before properly configuring settings. But as weeks passed, I swapped jokey snaps and reactions freely with both close comforters and loose friends of friends without much further thought. Until late one night when I'd opened a notification expecting my bestie's weekly guzzling wine on the couch pic. Instead, an unfamiliar bitmoji popped up with a one-word message, outside. Puzzled, I checked the username but didn't recognize it. Assuming wrong number, I exited and moved on with my evening. But over the next few days, periodic chat notifications continued rolling in from that unknown account. Always the same message, outside, or I see you, or gotcha, followed by an ominous emoji. Uneasy now, I blocked the bizarre user. Just some neighborhood rando trying to drum up Snapchat friends with random ads, I figured. No cause for real concern. Until that weekend, I awoke to a chilling notification time-stamped at 3:47 a.m. Why won't you wave back? My blood ran cold realizing this person had not only seen me through a window late at night, but actively tried to get my attention. This was no harmless wrong number. Someone in real life was deliberately tracking, then taunting me. Fingers shaking, I scribbled down the username and then phoned a few savvy friends for advice. They directed me to check my Snapchat privacy settings. Specifically something called Snap Maps, which broadcast your real-time location of friends. I nearly vomited realizing I'd had it enabled this whole time without knowing. Anyone I friended could literally see where I was at all hours, whether out shopping, inside my condo sleeping, or at the gym on a machine with my back to the window as a stranger stared in expectantly. Snap Maps got promptly disabled, but paranoia had already taken grip. Over the next week, periodic I see you. Messages kept rolling in despite being blocked. Too terrified to eat, sleep, or concentrate at work, my fretful mind cycling through all the possible mysterious figures who could be trailing my every move unseen. Late one evening, another notification made my blood run cold. Check your backyard. Nearly hysterical at this point, I phoned police and begged them to come scrutinize my small fenced-in yard for trespassers. But their suite came up empty, though they vowed to increase patrols of my neighborhood. With merely a report number and sympathy pat on the back, I found myself again alone and utterly terrified in my own home as an ominous virtual ghost continued rattling its chains. Unable to function from hypervigilance, I eventually spiraled into utter exhaustion then delirium. In feverish half-sleep, I began imagining gaunt faces leering in windows as shadowy figures danced in dark corners. Even my own haggard reflection startled me when I dared to creep to the bathroom at night. I knew I was unraveling, but felt powerless to make it stop. At my absolute breaking point weeks later, I received another chat notification containing simply my home address, then a timestamp from 5 minutes prior. Vision blurring in panic, I grabbed my phone to dial the police again, though fully expecting no conclusive results. But then noticing the username properly for the first time, images of a sneering coworker who recently got passed over for my promotion rose to mind. Police quickly confirmed my suspicions. That bitter man had indeed been stalking me obsessively ever since in warped, planned retaliation. Though safely behind bars on criminal charges soon enough, the emotional damage had taken severe toll. For months, I barely functioned, jumping at every stray sound like a wounded prey animal. My home and workplace no longer felt secure with their invisible shield of privacy so easily shattered at the whims of a virtual interloper. Extensive therapy sessions finally helped validate my lasting trauma while teaching healthier thought patterns and strengthened boundaries. By consciously focusing on light rather than cowering in darkness, I gradually emerged from the frightening shadows my twisted cyber stalker had permanently etched into memory. These days I live more consciously in the tangible present moment rather than through a camera lens. No social media tempts me to broadcast movements and whereabouts to expand some false sense of connection. While still healing, I realized no fleeting digital app notification outweighs jeopardizing the sacred sanctuary of simply feeling safe within my own skin under my own private roof. Because for me, enduring weeks of unsolicited virtual intrusion by a cunning voyeur with malicious intent forever shattered that innocent illusion of privacy we take far too lightly in this exposed modern age. When my best friends Amy and Zoe added me to their Snapchat group chat, I was thrilled. We'd always shared everything growing up together. Class notes, clothes, secrets whispered under blanket forts at sleepovers. But high school graduation launched us in disparate directions for college as adulthood beckoned. Snapchat became our virtual playground for silly selfies, event play-by-plays, and general life updates in lieu of daily in-person banter. So getting that invitation notification to join their cleverly named Besties for Life chats sparked nostalgic excitement. I eagerly typed out bubbly greetings and inside jokes those two would remember from days gone by, feeling our bond knit itself back together across miles. The first few days set a playful tone. We shared awful freshman dorm pics and dining hall slot comparisons before reminiscing about our childhood hangouts. An impromptu late-night joke-off competition erupted within the chat that soon had us all wiping away tears of laughter just like old times. Until a week later when another chat notification from the group lit up my phone. But instead of Amy's or Zoe's silly bitmoji, an Android avatar popped up. Hey Elle, it's Mark. Zoe's Beth. Wanted to say you're looking really hot lately. Got any more cute selfies to share with me privately? Don't be shy. My stomach dropped. Mark had never spoken directly to me before, always just his brooding presence lurking behind Zoe in grouped photos. Why was Amy's gross boyfriend suddenly messaging me solo with cringy flirts out of nowhere? The request made my skin crawl, but never one to ruffle feathers, I politely deflected then exited the chat, hoping he'd get the hint. Moments later though, another menacing chat notification appeared. Don't go all Ice Queen on me, babe. Look, me and the guys have a bet going about who can get nudes first. Help me win? I'll make it worth your while. I gagged reading the message, my thumb hovering over block user. But what if making a dramatic scene just brought more hassle upon myself? Knowing Mark, he probably claimed my reaction was overblown womanly histrionics. So again I calmly demurred while tactfully calling out the wildly inappropriate asked, secretly praying Amy would glance at the chat history and take swift action. If she or Zoe noticed this creepiness, surely Mark would never dare message me again. Comforted knowing my friends had my back, I exited the chat feeling the issue was properly put to rest. Until the next morning when I opened Snapchat to see Mark had added me directly. My body tensed up seeing his smirking bitmoji alongside an ominous "we need to talk." Against my better judgment, I nervously opened his chat. You get a last message, Pris. Look, this doesn't need to be a whole thing. Just send me a few hot shots and something skimpy and I'm gone. But if not, I blast the chat with screenshots. Then everyone knows what a stuck-up asterisk you are. He punctuated the text with an aggressive winking emoji that made bile rise in my throat. Handshaking, I tried one last tactic, kill in with kindness while standing firm. Mark, those requests make me really uncomfortable. I'm sure you mean well, but I don't feel right sharing intimate photos or chatting one-on-one. My skin crawled, hitting send, desperate faith in humanity, begging he'd realize his reprehensible behavior and back down. Instead, seconds later, multiple new chat notifications blew up my phone in relentless succession as Mark followed through on his threats. He spammed the chat with out-of-context screenshots depicting my disgusted reactions to his advances without the lewd propositions that prompted them. Captioned with mocking questions like, "Why so cold, Ice Queen L?" I watched in horror as he deliberately framed the full narrative to twist my tenacious politeness into proof of being an uptight prude hellbent on vilifying a harmless flirt. Panicked defense responses poured in from me while Amy and Zoe replied with confused emojis, wanting further explanation. But Mark manipulated every attempt, backed by his jerk friends, who piled on calling me gendered slurs. Soon, Amy grew suspicious too as months of trusted friendship eroded. She always loyally took her boyfriend's side, so doubt now clouded even her judgment of me. I felt utterly bewildered at how swiftly Mark deceived my friends into branding me the antagonizer. That smooth gaslighter somehow convinced the two people who knew me best that he held zero responsibility in this smear campaign against my character just because I refused his sexual coercion. In the following weeks, anytime we hung out, snide references to those damning screenshots emerged from the group to undercut my credibility. Mark would make lewd jokes, then feign shock when I didn't laugh. Careful guys, we got a squeaky clean nun in our midst. Wouldn't want to corrupt her highness with our depraved humor. Amy would snort an agreement while Zoe eyed me with distrust, my tongue-tied frustration only seeming to prove my prudish guilt. Over time, the group chat grew dominated by Mark's dude bro friends, while my voice got drowned out. Gradually, his gatekeeping grip drove me fully out of the once welcoming space that had meant so much shared history and intimacy. Soon enough, I got blocked entirely by Amy with no explanation after months of enduring Mark's cunning machinations. Only then did his intense manipulation become clear too late. In the years since, I've learned harsh lessons about trusting blindly, speaking truth to warped power, extracting myself sooner from toxic spaces, clouding my self-worth. While still stung by that betrayal, time and self-work healed the wounds. Today I focus energy on lifting up other women, embracing empowered sensuality on my own terms, and setting boundaries early with manipulative personalities. And I entered the mental health field to help prevent such insidious emotional abuse that preys on feminine socialization toward constant peacekeeping. No predator who weaponizes trust should hold power long over any woman's autonomy or consent. But traumatic scars carved out from my years-long Snapchat ordeal ultimately sculpted the unflinching advocate I am today.
Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.